Yes, we are going to be rid of outlaws this time.
With increasing frequency, the big guns of Moscow have been sounding the successes of the Red Army. Orel, Kharkov and Stalino not only mark the defeat of German armies in the east, they also point the way to the liberation of the Ukraine. The day will come when men like these will hunt the Germans right out of Russia. Meanwhile, the Soviets' allies, themselves scoring great new victories by land and sea and in the air, rejoice in the brilliant successes of the Red Army and the people of Russia under their great leader. As for Italy, well, let's look back. In December 1940, General Wavell, with some 30,000 men, drove back the Italians 550 miles and captured over 133,000 prisoners. An early sample of Italy's incapacity for war. By May 1942, the Axis, thanks entirely to German arms, were back in Egypt. In July, General Auchinleck held them at Alamein, quite a surprise for the Duce, who was already planning a victory march through Cairo. After beating off another major offensive by Rommel, the 8th Army attacked under General Alexander, CNC Middle East, and General Montgomery. That was on the 23rd of October, and by November the 3rd, the enemy were in full retreat, with the 8th Army in hot pursuit and Allied airmen giving them hell all the way. The pursuit across the desert went right through to Tripoli, which was captured at the beginning of this year after an advance of over 1,300 miles in less than 3 months. The Italians and their German protectors had been hit for 6, and they were promptly hit again right out of Africa. The Tunisian campaign is too recent to need retelling, but the joy with which Montgomery and his army were received is well worth noting again, for it's been going on ever since, even in enemy territory. The Americans had joined up with the 8th, and Tunisia was quickly cleared of the Axis. Tunis and the other liberated towns went wild. Then the Royal Navy, which had played an indispensable part in the whole campaign, set about the islands in the Sicilian Channel. Italy's Malta, Pantelleria, and the rest were taken. A short pause and then over to Sicily, the great armada of 1943, the sudden gale which might have wrecked the plan, followed by the calm which led to the brilliantly successful landings and to the occupation of all Sicily. Another brief pause and then over to Italy. It was already too much for the Italians. The loss of their empire, the loss of hundreds of thousands of troops, the bombing of their cities, and now the assault on the mainland. Italy threw in the towel, though the official decision was not made known until nearly a week later. These, by the way, are the first newsreel pictures of men of the 8th Army landing on the continent of Europe at Reggio. As we've seen, the 8th Army had come a long way, but with their allies, they'd knocked Italy out of the war. To them goes the honor of achieving the first unconditional surrender by an Axis power. No need, I think, to name the men who commanded our forces in this shattering blow to the enemy. We know them all too well for that. Rather, let us in Britain, who have watched from the comfort of home the total defeat of Italy, thank them and the men they led for this Italian knockout. The United Nations intend to exact unconditional surrender from all their enemies.